So welcome to 12 things that I learned in 2024. I usually do this video sitting down somewhere. Right now I have the list on my phone, and today I'm going to run at least 24 miles because it's 2024. I'm in cold New York City, and yeah, let's get into it. So this might be jittery as I walk around or something, especially while I'm running. I haven't even officially started the run. But one goal that I had throughout 2024 that you'll see throughout a lot of these lessons is I had to study one person that I looked up to per month. And sometimes that person actually helped reinforce the lesson for that, or that person really wasn't connected. But I think for each month, I'll go over the thing that I learned as well as the person that I was studying, just so that there's a record of it. This whole 12 things I've learned during the year has been a through line. I've been doing it 2 years now, and I actually watched the videos that I did previous years last night for some inspiration, just to make sure I wasn't rehashing any lessons. But you know how life is. A lot of people say they'll keep throwing the same lessons at you until you learn them. So I believe, hopefully I learned some lessons. Now, the first thing that I learned in 2024, I might have to slow down for all these. First thing I learned in 2024 was that most things come with confidence. I was studying Elliott Bisnow at the beginning of the year, and I was just wrapping up a full year and a half of travel, going around the world, and I was going to the self-help seminar. There were some things that I wasn't sure about coming back to the US that I really had to process. So at this seminar, the through line of this one guru was just like, be confident, be yourself, and things will come to you. And I really saw that at this seminar. It was like a couple hundred people. I just embodied confidence, and I don't know, just like everything was coming to me in terms of people at the seminar. Even I was getting attention from women there, and I would go to people and actually help them just because I was just confident in what I was saying, you know. And Elliott Bisnow, for this, he had a way of speaking to people that was with a lot of tone and everything. So that helped reinforce this, definitely. That's the first lesson. All right, the second thing that I learned in 2024 was there's a world of possibility that you cannot even imagine. So after I got back to New York City, I went to this event, and I didn't really know the types of people I was gonna meet there, but boy, did they blow my mind. Basically, there were people who had accomplished so much at such a young age, were like miles ahead, and I thought that I was also like very driven, going after it and everything, but these people like were 10x ahead of me. So honestly, that came with a lot of insecurity, and I went to this event not feeling my greatest self, but it honestly pushed me further, because I'm like, all right, if these guys are doing it, then like, why can't I? And it has a lot to do with the person I was studying that month, which was Steve Jobs, where he pushed himself, his team, and all the companies he was in to really go for more. And people were like, this is impossible. And he's like, no, just get it done anyway. Just get it done anyway. And like, he had a different vision for the world, and because of that was able to accomplish so much. And I feel like these people that I met there were the same. All right, so the third thing that I learned was to always remain grateful. I was piggybacking off the feeling of last month, feeling inadequate, honestly. And basically, sorry for, I'm literally running, but piggybacking off that feeling, I was feeling inadequate. Honestly, looking back now, I was making a lot of choices that didn't really align with me. And also, like, I was in a lot of debt from traveling, again, starting off the year in debt, just like last year. And I didn't really want to be in the situation that I was. I was listening to Tim Ferriss at the time, and I was hearing about his own battle with depression. And he was wildly depressed, way more than me, like throughout his whole life, had chronic depression. But he found ways to combat that, and I remember like specifically sitting on the train one day being like, I don't like my scenario. And everyone always says practice gratitude. So I was sitting on the train, I'm like, I'm gonna be grateful for that guy's hat and that guy's shoes and my own shoes and my skateboard. They literally uplifted my mood, and I felt a huge 180 difference from when I stepped on that train to when I got off. And it's hard to do, and I remember it taking like physical effort in my body. I didn't want to do it to like practice gratitude, but it made the world of a difference. Look at these tennis courts, guys. So blessed to like be living here. You're also gonna hear a lot of New York City sounds. But the next thing that I learned in 2024 was to judge people based on their actions and how they align with your values. Your values are very different from the next person's, from that person walking the street, or even from your best friend. And basically, one of my key values was to be someone of your word, be impeccable with your word. And I was being faced around like the beginning, middle of the year with a lot of people who weren't that. I came with friends with someone who honestly was like just a completely different person from who they were like portraying themselves to be. And I caught on and I was like, hey, like I gave him the chance, please, like tell me the truth. And he still didn't. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go my separate ways. And then even same thing, like I was living with someone who they didn't necessarily lie, but they were saying, oh yeah, I'll do this, yeah. And then like when it actually came to it being like, I'm too lazy. And like, I don't like that. You said you were gonna do one thing and then you did another. And that isn't in alignment. And you weren't someone of your word. You weren't upholding to yourself. You weren't even respecting yourself. And you told me that you were going to do these things. So you weren't respecting me. So I've learned that like really prioritize those people who are people of those words, who do align with your values, and spend as much time around those people as possible while getting rid of other people. And the person I was studying this on had so much to do with this. It was actually Oprah Winfrey, where she's amazing. She's done a lot for a lot of people. But I was reading biography that was saying, hey, like a lot of her life story that she says publicly isn't really true. And she even got caught in lies. And like basically like family members outed her. So she's wildly successful, and I did take pieces from her that I do want to portray myself, but then a lot of it I was
pausing workout.
I don't want to be this type of person. Now I thought I'd be doing these videos throughout my run, which I kind of am. I thought I'd do them like, it's like, let me get it done first. That way I can just be locked in the rest of the run. But after that, I learned that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And this is because, as I said, like I faced a lot of hardship being back in the US at the beginning of the year. And towards the mid-year, I actually started to see a lot of the actions that I was taking were compounding. Even though I wasn't getting results at the beginning, they were starting to fulfill themselves. And I was reading Lucius Seneca, to really cement this and like just remain stoic, remain here in the moment, and not let my emotions take me awry. I really love letter 2 from Seneca, which is on traveling. And I would have given anything to not be in New York at the beginning of the year, but he put it beautifully. I forget the exact quote, but it's something like, an ordered soul has no need to go anywhere. And if you're traveling and constantly seeking travel, it means that there's something internally happening that you haven't taken care of. And being forced to like stay in one place for a couple months really helps me take care of that and look within. And now, like, I even told some of my friends, like, I don't really need to travel anymore. Of course, I'm still going to, but there's no strong desire to do it anymore because I think I took care of whatever was within. And that was beautiful to have. And it's just like, I was really in the dumps. And to see finally things gaining traction again was one of the best things. All right, so the next thing that I learned was to truly love the work you do. I'm very thankful and blessed that the work I do, I'm really passionate about and absolutely love. Like the clients I work with, the people that I'm serving, and so many people don't get that. And I feel like if you're spending so much of your time in life in general, working and providing value to others, you might as well do it in a way that you actually like. And I actually don't get a lot of the people who can like live with themselves, either providing things that they know aren't good for the people they're serving, or doing something that I find monotonous. Because it's, how does your soul just not die when you're in that type of environment? I was working with a lot of great clients and reading and studying this guy, Chris Do, who actually helped me get started on my whole entrepreneurial creative business journey. And he's an amazing person to look into. Really love his work. And I found out things about him I didn't really find out. But like a through line was he would stay at the libraries and just like work on these computers when he was in college because he really loved it. He wasn't required to, it wasn't for a project or anything, but he was just like, I would sleep there because I really liked the things I was working on. And if you find passion in your work, and also if you're your favorite person to do the work, you can do it forever and ever and ever. And that's kind of my goal, is to not necessarily work forever, but be able to and have that ability. Same thing with running. I haven't run a very long distance like this in a while, and you guys will see the distance at the end. I'm not even sure how long it'll go. But I always kind of keep my baseline of like, let me just do this and have it always be a part of my life. All right, we're on the beautiful green grass now, or AstroTurf. Look what's behind me, Freedom Tower. But after that, what I learned was to cater your community. I think in the last year's video, I really talked about the people that I spend time around, but I really found out about it this year, where your type of people are out there. And you don't have to really you don't have to conform to the people around you at the time. If they don't align with you, like just try to look for other people. I got super involved in this one running club and I loved the types of people there. And I was reading Da Vinci at the time, and something I learned from him was just like, always remain curious. And even if you're afraid to jump into something, it seems like he wasn't afraid, but even if you're afraid, something new, do it anyway and do it full on. And that's the type of people that I really like spending time around. People who enjoy pushing their physical limit, ice plunge, sauna, talking about just motivation, like just different gurus. And I shouldn't conform to the types of people who might go out drinking. I'm up at 5 a.m. running, and I actually bought tickets to go to this event last night. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to go. And I want more people like that who are willing to wake up at 5 a.m. and go run. So catering your community is so important. Luckily, I've been able to find that when for a while I just couldn't find that in person without a lot.
Time, 13 minutes.
You also might be hearing my little Nike run thing go on. Yeah, I've only done a mile just because I've been stopping and filming so much, but we're almost done. Piggybacking off that last idea, I learned to celebrate those around me. And this kind of happens in like ways, like friends and family. Basically, as you know, I spent 2 years away from family, off on the other side of the world, and being back here, learning to appreciate them was something I really never got before. As well as with this new community that I was part of, I was able to celebrate different people in the community towards the mid-year and be grateful for them always. So combining those two lessons. People a lot of the time say, I've even talked to my friends who work in like ERs or like funeral homes, and they say like at someone's end of life, they're just thinking about their relationships with other people and how much impact those have had on them. And life is nothing without the people that you surround yourself. So being able to celebrate those people in the moment, show them that you appreciate them, really helps. I read during the year for a month the diary of actually one of my ancestors, but she basically, it was like my great aunt. I read her diary at some point this year and studied that, and she basically traveled all the way to San Fran and back from Brooklyn, New York, a couple of months journey hitchhiking with this person. And there's like her one friend, she'd write in the diary, oh, I'm so annoyed with them today, yada, yada, yada. But she still stuck through and stayed with them for the whole journey, that whole couple month journey. And she was appreciative at times, even when she was annoyed. So remember that, celebrate those around you because they're important in life. Look what this is, guys. Basically in the middle of the New York River, they created like a little sand beach. You can't actually jump in the water, but like, it's just this little beach. And that actually leads great to my next point, which is appreciate your roots. Of course, I'm blessed to live in New York City and to have grown up here, but I always was like, I want to leave New York. I went and lived in Miami for a while, and then I always wanted to go out to LA and live there. And I lived in many other countries rather than New York, even when I could choose to stay here. But basically around like New York Fashion Week, September, which was like a hot season in New York, everyone comes here, weather is great. People are out and about. I personally had a great time because I was just like meeting the most amount of people then, going out on a ton of dates and showing people who were visiting the city who didn't originally grow up here some of my favorite spots, which actually like here where I am right now, Chelsea, I love, but I'd never got to see it through these brand new eyes that I was when people were visiting. I saw the downsides that I wasn't aware of, like too many people and everything, but I also saw some things that I wouldn't normally see. People wanted to do touristy things and were like, whoa, buildings. Like my friend from Ohio, he was like, there's not as many buildings here. He lives in like middle of nowhere, Ohio, not really a big city like Cincinnati or something. So I really got to see it through those eyes and that lens, which was great and made me appreciate where I was. The person I was studying at the time for this was Elon Musk, which didn't have too much to do with this, but he sure loves America, and that really taught me to love America more as well. Sorry in advance for all the noise. I'm just like really close to the West Side Highway right now. Towards the end of the year, one thing that like life just shoved in my face was, and my dad says this quote all the time, when you make plans, God laughs. So having felt a real appreciation for New York the previous month, I was like, you know what, I can really see myself staying here. I was talking to some people about getting on a lease, and I was actually going to get a contract here in New York that wanted me in person and basically required me to be here most of the year, and I was perfectly fine with that. I beforehand was like, nah, like you can never keep me in one spot. I like need to be fully remote for work, but I was getting accustomed to the idea of staying here, so I really was enjoying it at the time. But I had this whole vision planned out for like a year and like get a lease, do this, meet that person, and the contract fell through, and that made a lot of my plans basically go kaputst, and I spun it around, which I'll go into the next lesson about. Then the person I was studying throughout this time was Rick Rubin, and honestly didn't have much to do relate, but his whole philosophy was like, you are a conduit for the universe, this is pretty woo-woo, but read his book, it's phenomenal. You're a conduit, and like, sure, what the universe has plans, like, you might necessarily not like, but just keep pushing it out, keep pushing out the creative work, and you'll get something that the universe wanted you to create. From that journey of having made all these plans and then not really having them fulfilled, I called to my friends and I was like, hey, I'm not gonna stay to New York. Do you guys feel like flying to Colombia? And they were like, yeah, sure. So we scheduled a last minute trip to Colombia, and it was phenomenal. So the big takeaway from this year was surrender and life will take care of you. I basically was like, didn't have it in the plans. People were telling me, oh, maybe you should come out. And I was like, nah, I don't feel like it. I feel like staying in New York. And like, I did a complete 180 after this contract fell through. And it was just phenomenal to do. And I'm like, wow, I was really lucky, because I wouldn't have this experience if I was to stay and get that contract. So it's really good to practice this mantra that I found is just more and more true. The things that I bring into my life are better than I could ever imagine. I had one vision for my life for the next year, and basically it got swept out from under me. And I was like, oh shoot, oh no, poor me. I actually didn't have that mindset at all. I was like, I had it for a moment, and then I switched it to like, all right, cool, how can I be grateful about this? Which, again, practicing that gratitude. And from there, like, life was just able to spin in a great direction where I really liked my trip. I got to meet some incredible people, and like, better than I could ever imagine, which, the emphasis on that saying. Who I was studying at that period of time was Joe Dispenza, and he goes a lot into meditation, but you can't focus on the how, which is what I got from that. Is like, don't focus on the how, focus on just the overarching goal, that feeling that you want. And I got that feeling tenfold, and it came about in a way that I did not expect at all. Even like through that, I basically went to Colombia being like, I'm gonna reinvent myself. I was reading Joe Dispenza, I'm gonna redo the whole agency. And I was like, I'm cool with taking on no new clients this month. But it was just incredible being like, I literally did nothing to do this, and life just took care of me. So when in doubt, just surrender to the moment. It'll all figure itself out in the end. Now I'm gonna film this while I still have some good lighting. Follow your intuition. And I feel like that was a through line throughout the whole year, where you can't make decisions all up here, but you gotta go with your gut sometimes. And actually, one thing that a friend told me, not sure how true this is, but I like to believe it's true, and it probably is if you do a quick Google search, is you have nerve cells in your brain, you have brain cells there. Your nerves go all over, and then usually high amount of nerve cells in your digestive tract, in your stomach. And they're actually, like, not sure exactly what the wording is, but there's something along the lines of brain cells in your gut. And that's what, like, why going with your gut is so crucial, because like, your gut actually knows things. Following your intuition is one thing that I just didn't really think of doing. I always planned things out logically, and this year did not turn out anything like I expected it to at the beginning. Actually, in some ways, yes. But I thought I was gonna be over in another country by September. Well, in September, I was like loving being in New York. And I just felt like, you know, let me stay here. And I didn't go over to Colombia until I felt like it was the right time. The universe, the world, some people think is a lot more magical than we realize on a surface level. And even if it isn't, it's just much more fun to believe that it is. So like, follow your gut, you know things internally. And off the whole thing of like, it's magical. Right now I'm wrapping up studying Nikola Tesla, and he did some pretty weird things. Like, anytime he entered a building, he would walk around the block 3 times before entering. He was basically like this real life wizard with technology. So he definitely knew some things, or maybe he thought he knew some things about how the world worked, and he didn't share a lot of those, but he like still was like, oh, like you should do this and that. So maybe you don't go, or maybe do go as far the extent of what Nikola Tesla did, or maybe you don't, but just be aware for some magical moments. Now, with that being a wrap on the 12 things, I'm gonna continue this run. I'll catch up with you guys either like partway through the run, because I've been walking for most of it just because the camera gets shaky, or at the end. And yeah, let's get after this. All right, halfway mark. Yeah, you guys will see the full distance. I ran up the West Side Highway, and now it's daylight, obviously, no longer in the dark. Doing a lap of Central Park, probably gonna be 2 or 3 laps, and then down the west side as well. Don't really like running on the east side. There's too much in and out. Not consistent enough for me. So I finished, and I was just like cold. I completely forgot I was doing this because I was zoned in. My total moving time was 4:40. My first ever marathon, I hit 4:30, and that was with like months of training. And then my second marathon, I did 4. So this was like my 3rd fastest. But I think like with the talking on the videos and everything, it was just about like 5 hours or something, or like 5 hours, 20 minutes. But yeah, Strava says moving time 4:40. Things I learned on the run for sure was just like, as I was slowing down, I was just running loops around Central Park, and I would like slow down And then people would pass me, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, like, they don't know. I just ran 20 miles. I'm 21st mile, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, no, they're just in their own lane, focusing on their own thing. That's what you should do too. And also, like, people move at different paces. Some of these guys who passed possibly could outrun me in a marathon. Like, very possibly could. And it's just like, focus on yourself. The goal is for yourself. Make it about yourself. I'm tired. I'm cold. It's 33 degrees out, or 35 now. So, like, that's like 1 degree Celsius. And gotta take a shower. I got a sushi burrito. And you guys didn't even see. I was so happy. I got this donut and a Gatorade from a little cart, and it just made my day. So that was the first thing I ate after the run. I'm gonna go stretch, eat a sushi burrito. Otherwise, people, this is the end of 2024. Hopefully you're having a good start to 2025. And hopefully you guys learned something through me sharing my lessons. If one person got value out of this, that's all that matters. If one person was like, hey, like, that's a good lesson, I'm gonna take that, bring it in my own life, that's great. That's my goal. Even still, like, being able to write these out, put them in my notes, and then talk to you guys about them really helped reinforce them for myself. So anyway, I'm gonna have an epic run, but you should continue exploring and have an epic day.